This one habit is destroying your mental health. It's just quietly destroying your well-being. And it's causing you stress, increasing your anxiety, and making you make poor decisions. And the habit is emotional avoidance, and it doesn't necessarily look exactly the way you think it looks. So emotional avoidance is what it sounds like. It's avoiding feeling sad, angry, fearful. And typically what we do these days is we'll reach for our phones and scroll, or we'll distract ourselves in some way or form in which it allows us to feel neutral or even feel good instead of feeling this unpleasant emotion that we're trying to avoid, which is usually something around being sad, angry, or scared. And we don't like feeling those. It makes a lot of sense. The problem is we pay a huge price for this. Studies actually show that avoiding emotions activates the brain's stress response, keeping you in that sympathetic fight or flight response longer than processing the emotion would. And so if you're someone that walks around and, tells people like, oh, I feel so stressed, or you just have the internal experience, like I feel stressed all the time, then that might be one of the contributors. Avoidance in the short term doesn't necessarily allow you to completely avoid the emotion either. So emotions don't actually just go away just because we decided to scroll on TikTok. And nothing against scrolling on TikTok, I do that too. But when we do that, when we engage in, say, a piece of technology or whatever distraction you enjoy doing, the emotion doesn't go away. It sort of just kind of gets pushed down. And the problem with that is it typically later shows up as anxiety. So oftentimes, if you just kind of walk around with a general state of anxiety, or you even experience panic, or you have physical symptoms that are digestion related, or you have some type of muscle stiffness or even back pain, that often can be unprocessed emotion. And so they don't just go away. And the reason for this is because these emotions are meant to be processed by you. They're meant to be thought about. They're meant to be felt so that you can actually get all of the information out of the emotion. Because when the mind and the body send you uncomfortable emotions like sadness, anger, fear, it's not trying to ruin your life. What it's trying to do is to tell you information that it thought it was important. And so if you don't utilize that information, and if you don't actually feel it, then it lingers. It's okay, well, I guess we're just gonna shelf this, and we're gonna just keep it around because we want you to pay attention to this. And I actually really hate the term processing emotion because everyone keeps saying it and literally nobody knows what it means. And at least in my perspective, what it means is actually feeling the emotion. And this is very difficult for people. If you think you're feeling emotions, you might not be. Because what I've noticed for a lot of us is we think we're feeling emotions, but what we're actually doing is we are thinking about the emotion or we're talking about the emotion. So if you think you're feeling emotions, but you're more thinking about what's causing the emotion, that's not feeling. Feeling actually needs to happen in the body. So there's a distinction between emotion and feeling. Feeling is the sensation that the emotion kind of correlates within the body. So for example, when we're feeling sad, we typically feel a sensation of heaviness in the chest. We kind of feel down. When we feel fear, we can feel kind of a pins and needles feeling on the skin. And these are actual feelings. Emotions are what we call the interpretation of the feelings. So scared, happy, sad. And so when it comes to processing emotions, it actually means sitting there or walking or, whatever you're doing, but actually noticing the sensations in the body and then understanding that this is sadness, feeling the sadness. And one way that I've helped clients kind of learn to do this is, because it's kind of strange if you think about it, is to first identify, what does sadness feel like? How would you know that you're sad? Just in the body, not in the mind, not thinking thoughts that are making you sad. What physical cues allow you to know that you're sad? And then try to actually feel those sensations. And then what you want to do is you actually want to try to turn them up. So what would it look like if you felt those physical cues more? Like, what if you felt more heaviness in your chest? Like, think of it almost like a radio dial, like turning it up. How could you turn up the sadness? And oftentimes playing with it like this does help with that processing. And so the idea behind emotions and feelings is that in order to process the emotion, we need to feel the feeling, and we need to feel it for as long as it kind of sticks around. Typically, feelings stick around for shorter amounts of time than people think. So a lot of times we kind of get like a little sting of the emotion. We're like, oh, that hurts. And then we want to suppress it. We're like, no, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to be there. And the interesting thing is that we typically overestimate how long we'll feel that sting. And for most people, and according to research studies, we feel the painful emotion way less time than we predict we will. So typically emotions process faster than we think they will, but the idea is that we need to stay in that actual painful feeling, and the feeling is in the physical sensations in the body, not in the mind. So if you think that you've been feeling emotions by thinking about them and nothing has been improving for you, that's probably why. And this is a super common thing that we do. We're so cognitive these days that we don't even realize that we need to be doing anything in relation to physical sensations. And for many people, if this is you, it's completely normal. For many people, it's actually very difficult to tell what they're feeling, because there's often a bifurcation between the mind and the body. And that's happened just over time because we spend so much time in our heads, and this is very normal. But you can learn to feel the feelings in your body. It just takes time, it takes space, it usually takes quiet. And if you just practice every day, typically, at least from research studies, we've seen that individuals can gain that ability again.